You were talking about the Chavez fight against Daniel Jacobs. You think it's fair that this fight goes on?
I think that any promoter that tries to put on a fight involving a fighter that's suspended by a commission in the United States or to have his license taken away and not allowed to promote. If we don't respect the laws and we don't respect the Muhammad Ali Act, then we have nothing. So I don't care where the guy comes from. His excuse may be that he's from out of the country, right? But he should know what the rules are here. That if Nevada has suspended a fighter, you don't try to go to a commission in the United States or any place else and get that fighter licensed to fight. You just don't do that. Otherwise, it destroys the sport. And the Nevada Commission acted appropriately as far as Chavez was concerned, because under the rules of the commission, when a fight is announced, the Nevada Commission has jurisdiction to test the fighter, because as you may or may not know, a lot of fighters, or some fighters, take performance-enhancing drugs and then clear their system before the press conference. So if you wait for the press conference, you're going to miss the fact that they've taken performance-enhancing drugs. Now, they sent a VADA person to Chavez's camp, the wild card camp, and the guy waited all day, and Chavez refused to be tested. Now, once he did that, that was grounds for suspension, and that's what the Nevada Commission did. So what Eddie Hearn is trying to do, to try to go around the Nevada Commission and somehow have the Arizona Commission, which would be a violation of federal law, license to fight, is abhorrent, and everybody who cares for the future of boxing should step up and let their voices be heard.
Do you think that Chavez Jr. is on something?
I have no idea. Why would I? I mean, I have no idea whether he was on something or not. But if you're sent by a valid authority and you're tested and you refuse to take the test, that is equivalent to testing dirty. Now, whether he was dirty or not, how would I know?
Looks fishy.
Now, is there any type of penalization with the promoter involved?
What?
You know, is there any type of penalization involved with the promoter?
Yes, if the promoter persists in doing that fight in another jurisdiction, I think that the Nevada Commission will suspend the license of the promoter, number one, and number two, will not in the immediate future license that promoter to promote in Nevada.
But let's suppose that Chavez is clean. Do you think that he really earned the right to fight Daniel Jacobs with so many boxers in line?
Again, why get into that? The point is, and you got to focus on what the point is. He failed to take a drug test that he was required to take, and therefore he has to be suspended. Look at the French kid, Tony Yoka, who was the big Olympic champion. He missed 3 drug tests. I know he's clean. I know the kid, he's totally clean. He missed them because he had other things to do. And the French Commission suspended him for a year. And while he could have gone elsewhere and fought, he was a man and said, I'm not going to fight until my suspension is over with the French Commission.
Why do you think, Eddie, I mean, it wasn't like people were beating down Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s door for a fight. I don't think the fans were super interested in seeing him fight again. Why do you think Eddie Hearn would risk so much to get him on a fight?
Well, first of all, when he did the fight, let's be fair, Chavez was a licensed fighter. You know, he didn't know that Chavez would refuse to take the test or not. So Why did he do Chavez? Because, again,
No, I mean risk like moving the fight and burning his bridges with
because he doesn't understand the laws in the United States. He is totally in disregard. He is a guy who has operated under the British Board of Boxing Control, which is not a government agency. It's a group. It's an organization set up by the promoters, and therefore has different rules and standards from the commissions in the United States, which are government entities.
Now, does other states take action potentially if anything, like he tries to go to another state, he can get suspended in other states?
Under the Muhammad Ali Act, if you're suspended in one state, you are not to be licensed in another state. That is the rule. That is the rule. Now, some states have so little boxing action that they don't care about the rules, and it's full steam ahead. But you notice that even in Arizona, they haven't licensed the fight. They haven't licensed Chavez. They're holding back because Chavez has another hearing before the commission on December 18th, 2 days before the fight's going to supposedly take place. So I don't think when push comes to shove that Arizona is going to defy the Muhammad Ali Act and license the fight.
I would think the only reason that he wants to keep going with this is because he feels like Chavez is going to move the needle for DAZN as far as subscribers. But do you really think?
Well, you're getting at the point. What DAZN hasn't been successful in the United States. They have gotten no traction to speak of with all the millions that they've spent on their boxing in the United States, except for one guy, and that guy is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has done tremendous numbers, right? So now the people who run DAZN above Eddie Hearn, they're not boxing people. And what does that tell them? The fact that Canelo is accounting for virtually all of the subscribers that DAZN has. So in their mind is Hispanic. You got to go out and get prominent Hispanic because they will move the needle. And and I know that Chavez has disgraced himself before, that he fought Canelo and didn't throw a punch, and a lot of people in boxing consider him a joke, right? Yeah. We know that. They don't know that. He's Chavez. He speaks Spanish. Okay, let's make sure we get him for Daniel Jacobs.
Speaking of questionable fighters, what do you think of Logan Paul versus KSI? Well,
again, it's not a boxing match. It's two celebrities sort of fooling around in a ring. If that attracts more people to boxing, so what's the harm? No harm. In other words, if the fight that was the undercard there, if that fight, which they had good fights there, if that had gone on in Staples, they would have got very few people watching at the event. They put these jambonis on, and people came. Okay, that's good. I mean, you got to be the perspective. In boxing, we can't be purists. We can't do wrong things, but we can't be purists and say, no, that's terrible, it disgraces boxing. Anything that attracts more people, more eyeballs to boxing is welcome. So I'm not against that. I'm not necessarily in favor of it, but I'm not against it.
A few months ago, Justin Bieber called out Tom Cruise. Who wins that fight?
Who gives a shit?
On that